Welcome to today's Explainer. Web3 and social finance, or SocialFi, have absolutely dominated the conversation lately. But look, we are moving way past the surface level hype today. We're going to look at the actual nuts and bolts mechanics of how online communities are fundamentally reshaping the digital economy.
You post, they profit. Man, that perfectly captures the friction built into the traditional Web 2 internet, doesn't it? You spend hours creating content, engaging in discussions, and growing these massive platforms like Facebook, YouTube, or X. But who actually captures the real financial value of your free attention and labor? Well, centralized corporations. You post, and they profit. But imagine for a second, what if that power dynamic was completely flipped?
To answer that, we're unpacking a really fascinating guide published by the War Library. It's called Community Tokens and Social Finance. And hey, no wild speculation today, I promise. Just a grounded, structured look at exactly how communities are out there right now, building shared, self-sustaining economies. So here's our roadmap. First, from platforms to people. Second, what is social finance? Third, how users actually earn. Fourth, real-world token use cases. Fifth, risks, scams, and red flags. And sixth, the future of ownership. Let's dive right in. Section 1. From platforms to people. The evolution of the internet. The contrast here is just stark. In the old platform economy, the corporation owns the system, right? You create the content and they harvest the ad revenue. It is totally a one-way street. But in the new community economy, the community itself owns the platform. You create the content and you earn the rewards. It's a complete 180-degree shift from platform-controlled value to community-controlled value. Section 2. What is social finance? Redesigning shared value. Think of a community token, kind of like a university campus ID card. It proves you belong there, right, and gives you access to the library. But imagine if that same student ID also financially rewarded you every single time you joined a study group or, helped a classmate debug their code. That is exactly what community tokens do in digital form. They literally turn social interaction into a financially valuable asset within a broader SocialFi system. So, how does a standard online group actually transform into an economy? Well, it happens in 4 specific stages. First up, social formation. People gather around a shared interest. Simple enough. Second, value creation begins. Members start sharing tutorials, answering questions, just helping each other out. Third, the introduction of tokens. The community creates a digital token to track and reward all that awesome participation. And finally, step 4, economic activity starts. Members actively earn, trade, and use these tokens. Suddenly, it's not just a chat server anymore, it's a living, breathing, self-sustaining economy. Section 3. How users actually earn. Value contribution equals reward. Now, let's be clear. Earning requires actual contribution. You can't just passively exist and expect to get rich here. Users earn through content creation, like, say, writing a definitive guide for the group. They earn through consistent community engagement, answering questions for the newer members. Stepping up to do moderation and support, that keeps the community safe, and yeah, that gets rewarded too. You can also earn by bringing in new blood through referrals, or even through skill-based contributions, like designing a logo or writing some code for the group. Basically, the more actual value you add to the ecosystem, the more you earn. Section 4. Real-world token use cases. Moving from theory to practice. Beyond just earning, these tokens have some really serious real-world utility. They grant membership access to premium content or private events. They also allow for actual community governance. That means token holders actually vote on the big decisions, instead of just some CEO dictating everything from the top down. They empower creator communities, and they are absolutely revolutionizing gaming and education by properly incentivizing participation. A brilliant example from the source text is about funding community projects. Just imagine a local African tech community wanting to organize a blockchain conference. Instead of begging for corporate sponsors, members pool their tokens together to fund the event themselves. That is collective financing, literally turning a great idea into reality.
Section 5. Risks, scams, and red flags. Navigating the dark side.
Okay, let's take a step back and objectively break down the exact mechanics of a classic pump and dump scheme. Step 1. Promoters artificially create massive hype around the token. Step 2. Driven by major FOMO, inexperienced people rush in to buy. Step 3. All this sudden demand makes the token's price just absolutely skyrocket. Step 4. The early insiders, the ones who manufacture the hype in the first place, they quietly sell off their massive holdings right at the very top. And finally, step 5, the price inevitably crashes, leaving all those new investors holding the bag with massive, massive losses. So, to avoid that trap, you really need to keep an eye out for a few specific red flags. First off, if a project promises you guaranteed profits, run the other way. Markets fluctuate. Guarantees? They're fairy tales. Also, watch out for fake communities inflated by bot followers and artificial bot engagement. You've got to be incredibly cautious of anonymous teams with hidden leadership, too. I mean, if they can't be held accountable, it exponentially increases your risk. And finally, look out for unsustainable reward systems where the payouts far exceed any actual value being created. Like the old saying goes, if it sounds too good to be true, it almost certainly is. So, when you're evaluating any of these projects, use this as your ultimate litmus test. Just ask yourself, would this community still be valuable if the token had absolutely no market price? Seriously, think about that for a second. If the answer is yes, because people are genuinely learning, connecting, and building cool things, then the community has real intrinsic value. But if the answer is no, and literally the only reason people are hanging around is hoping the token price goes to the moon, well, then it's pure speculation and highly, highly dangerous. Section 6. The future of ownership, a collaborative internet. Here is the real triumphant conclusion from our source text. The internet user is fundamentally evolving into an internet contributor with real, tangible ownership rights. We're shifting away from a digital world of just passive consumption and unpaid labor, and we're moving into one of active, rewarded ownership. It's a world where communities function exactly like economies, and it's a world where your online life, your attention, and your engagement actually become economically meaningful to you. And look, this is not science fiction. It is already beginning. The very architecture of the internet is changing right now, and the barriers to entry are lower than ever before. So I'll leave you with this provocative thought to ponder. As power shifts away from the mega platforms and back to the people, what will you build, participate in, or own in this new digital economy? The opportunity is yours. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep learning.